Welcome. Baby Baller Productions presents the Gold Pack 5 Effective Man to Man Basketball Sets, Part 1. Hello, this is Coach White. I mentioned last time that I've been coaching basketball in the Central Valley of California for close to 40 years. And this lesson represents 5 of the most effective plays we've ever ran against man-to-man defenses. One of them I ran for probably 30 years or more, and one of them I put together in the last 2 years. But they've all been very effective for scoring points against man-to-man defenses. I think you'll like them. And I want to point out the fact that when we created playbooks in the past, we often multiplied the value of our plays by running them to both sides of the basket and calling them by different names. So, for example, if you have 5 plays here, then our playbook would actually consider this to be 10 plays. So it's effective when you mix them, that you would run one of the plays to the right side, and then you can run a different play to the left side that allows you to mix them and switch them over, and it's very effective during the game time. So let's get started here. One of the other things we did was we often employed the use of umbrella terms when we wanted to denote a series. And then while we were running that series, we would use related words to denote the counter plays or the tweak versions. And I want to give you an example because I think it's important when you're figuring out ways to name your plays. One of the reasons I came up with umbrella terms is because I was a 7th grade English teacher, and a lot of my students were below grade level, and this was a way to help them to categorize words, was to teach them which words fell under the umbrellas of other words, so that I used this also in basketball to help my players memorize things. Like this play I'm going to talk about right here, magic. We used the term to signify a quick conversion from a 3-out and 2-in set, and we would turn it into a high 1-4 alignment on the call. It would, in 1 second, you would convert that. So we told the players we magically convert it into a high 1-4, and so we would use that to help them remember that. And so that anytime we ran a tweak or a variation off of it, we would use a term that was associated with magic. And in particular, I remember this one play we ran, I'll show you in the next slide, called Houdini and Copperfield, were simple isolation plays into the post. So we ran it to the right side, it would be Houdini call. We ran it to the left side, it would be the Copperfield play. So no matter who we had in there, they would be the Houdini or the Copperfield player. And we would start in the 1-2-2, make the call. The post players would slide up the lane. We would clear out, throw the ball. We wouldn't clear out yet. We would throw the ball in the post, and then we'd try to get a backdoor on that side, and then the post player would rip the ball and go to the basket. It was pretty effective. I had a girl scored a lot of points that way because she was so quick. Okay, this is what that would look like with the 4s and the 5s flashing up to the post. And I want to mention we had this thing called getting open early. So when our post players ever came from the bottom to the top, we would want them to do the battle of getting open earlier and fighting while you're still in the low post, so you don't have to fight when you're in the high post for it to get the ball to you. No, we would normally call this play when we were facing some kind of wing pressure. Rather than fight up against the wing pressure, we would try to get a backdoor cut or attack the basket from the backside. Okay, you can notice here that the 4 is trying to drive into the 4's defender, and then popping away for it. And I think it gives an extra second to safely get the ball into the post. And you can notice the defenders I put in here, they're on the wings, so they're sitting on the wings, which exposes them. When the ball goes into the high post, they're suddenly exposed to the backdoor cuts, what we would cut the 2 through, and then the 2 would clear out, and 4 would rip the ball across and try to score and draw a foul. Yeah, I should mention that this is not one of the plays we're talking about. I'm just trying to let you know about the naming situation, because this particular set would be set up by the 4 trying to get open early. Every time we would run that Magic series or that Houdini, which is the 4 isolation on the 4, that 4 would always try to drive their man into the lane first and then pop away. Now we would set them up for later in the game. That you notice 5 here. I don't indicate that the 5 is driving the defender into the lane on this play. We've set them up the whole game for this particular play, which we call Shazam. And on the call, the 5 would flash up the lane, and the defender would probably think they know the play by now. They're figuring it out, and they're going to try to jump and get that steal. And 5 would take 2 steps up and then backdoor, and we would pass the ball to the backdoor cut. And it just shows you how this works. Mainly to let you know that, Shazam, how simple it is from the Magic set and Houdini. They're just 2 calls that are very slight variations. And then you use the term Magic, so anytime you use it, your team will know that you're going to convert from a 1-2-2 into this high 1-4, and so it helps them to memorize, and they're able to memorize more plays when they get this kind of help. I'm going to begin this series with the Redwood play. I just did a video of this, by the way, and it was more complicated, more intricate than this one. I'm going to show you the base play. And we run it, we call it Ranger to the left, Redwood to the right. Once again, getting that idea that we're going to double up every play we have by running both sides. When the 1 dribbles over, 4 immediately steps out. The 3, we want the 3 to do what we call matrix cut. We want to beat the defender to that spot because it's going to be open. It's going to close quickly, but it'll be open for like 1 or 2 seconds. And we want that 3 to cut hard and try to get that every time. Because if they do it that way, then they will get it sometime in the game. Now, notice the 5, we have them stepping up here. So we go on up. I used to run the 3 dive a little flatter, and I elevated it because that way I could get the 5 started so that they're coming off that cutter's tail to get to that point where they can set that back screen for the 2. And if you're lucky enough to have a guy on your team that can dunk, that would be a beautiful dunk. But we only had girls, and they couldn't dunk, so we would run it for a back lob into a layup all the time. Once again, we're trying, in most of these sets that we run, we were trying to get in ones because I was a firm believer in the power of the free throw and how getting to the free throw line helps you to win games. Yeah, this is the second part of that Redwood play, because once the 1 dribbled over to the side and we had the dive to the basket on part of the 3 and then the back lob for the 2, we're going to reverse it back. And 5 is going to step out. Now, this is usually kind of a dangerous pass, but we're helped out because the 5's defender is going to hesitate a little bit to maybe think to help out on that back lob, which will open up the 5 on the top. And the 5 immediately is going to pass to 2. And the 2, what we show there is that the 2 is trying to do what we call hipping up. Hipping up means we're trying to drive our get open early, drive our defender into the lane, make them think we're trying to step over them, and then shooting out directly away from them to open us up that pass on the wing. And I should mention here, that pass from 5 to 2 is probably the most stolen pass in basketball. When you get tired and lazy in the game and you just start reversing the things without thinking about it. So we don't want to do that. So we're always trying to do these methods where we're trying to get a little extra help on getting open. Now the beauty of this play is the 1 cutting through this dummy cut that goes through the corner, because I think it helps disguise what's going on behind that cutter, which is 4 coming off this flex cut on 3 screen, and then 3 immediately stepping 2 steps into the lane to set a back screen for the 5 who goes on the backside for the back lob. So this play I've ran for over 30 years. I added the back lob this year, this last back lob this year, and all of it's been very effective over the years. It was very effective this year. And lastly, on dealing with this redwood play, I just want to show you, say that if 2 didn't get the pass or the flex cut for 4 or the back lob to 5, you notice the shape that we're in the same shape we were when we started. And in this case, 3 would pop out, 2 would throw the ball, 2 would dummy cut across the middle, 1 would come off 4's flex screen, and 4 would step into the middle, and 4 would step in the middle, set the back lob for 3, and 3 would reverse the ball to 5 first, and 5 would do the step in, the hip up, and the shooting out away from their defender to the wing, and then 3 would reverse the ball to the 5. Then the 1 would come off that flex screen, and 4 would set that back screen for 3. Okay, this play we call over. Very simple play. It's a very good play to run when you're looking for a foul or a layup, when you really need one. 1 dribble pushes the 2 across. 4 is going to come across, but remember what we said about getting open early. Engage your man down low and then shoot away from him at an angle. And then 3 is going to rise a little to open up room for 2 to go to the opposite corner. Okay, once 1 reaches the side, they're going to pass into the 4. And you notice the 1 is going to come over the top looking for a handoff. And 4 is going to sell this handoff by actually leaning down in that direction, like they're actually going to hand the ball to the 1 cutting over. And then they're going to rip the ball through underneath, more than likely. But you got to make sure that they get the ball to the outside hand, because sometimes 1's defender will come across under 4 and you'll run right into him if you stop your turn at that point. So you want to get the ball to your outside hip, step there, and then attack the basket quickly. And more than likely, you're going to get a layup or a foul out of this. Yeah, I've included this last play, this UCLA Bruin play, to try to fit it in on this last slide in order to, I've only got a limited space when I can turn it into a video. And so I'll create the part 2, and I'll throw in a zone set to even it up. Anytime you have a UCLA cut, it's going to be the 1 passing to the wing and cutting over a high post screen. In this case, it would be 1 passing to 2 coming out of the corner, cutting over 4 screen into the low post. So that's typically called what you call a UCLA cut. So I've foregone that part. I got to the second part where the 2 has the ball, the 4's in the high post, and 1 is in the low post, and that's where we're going to begin this action. Now I'll mention that the Bruin name up there is what we would do if we ran it to the other side. And I want to mention an advantage of doing that, because my kids knew that if I called USC Trojan, it would be the same play with the same thing. The college name to the right and the mascot to the left, which gives me the freedom to call the play more, because later in the season you've been scouted and they know the name calls for the most part. We also have hand signals that would indicate, so sometimes we wouldn't have to say, we just make the call. Okay, at this point, remember, 2 has the ball, 4's in the high post, 1's on the low post. So what's going to happen, the 2 is going to pass the ball to the 4. And I have him low here. I might step the 4 out a little bit higher, but I put it in there for that double screen this way. And so when 4 gets the ball, 2 and 1 are going to exchange. 2 is always going to be on the inside. 1 is always going to come out on the outside. You got to make that clear, because they'll run into each other if you don't do that. And you're always going to pass to the outside hand on the 1. And the moment that the 4 gets the ball and 2 begins this J cut, going to go down and come up to set that back screen, 5 is going to come up the lane calling for the ball. Calling for the ball. 4 is going to look at that number 5 first. And then 5 is going to leg whip, and that means to reverse pivot, completely pivot around and put the defender on your butt. in order that when 2 gets there, you're going to have a double screen for the price of 1. That makes this play pretty effective. Now, the only one that can really stop this when you do that, it will be number 2's defender. Sometimes they'll just hang around right there when they see that coming. And in that case, 2 is going to continue out the top for that off that double screen set by 3 and 4. 3 and 4 will come together, and they'll just give enough room for 2 to get through there, and then they'll kind of lean back together and close that up. And what often happens, since 2 is a guard, their defender will be smaller than 5. 5 will being a taller player, and when the 5 rows under the basket at that point, you can often just throw the ball over the head of the defender to get the ball inside anyway. But it's very effective play. Get the ball a lot. Oftentimes, 5's just going to roll across and be wide open under there. At this point, I have to stop because I'm running out of space. And to make this into a movie, I got to stop at this point. And like I said, I'm going to make it in part 2, and I'll include the other 2-man sets, and I'm going to throw in one of the zone sets we run that's pretty effective. See you later.